It's the Indie Horror Junkie podcast, your source for anything and everything indie horror. Here's your host, Otis B. Dreads. All right, here we go. It is the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. It is 8 o'clock. Do you know where your indie horror is? It is right here, as I mentioned. I am Otis B. Dreads. Got a good show. I'm not sure. I know it seems a little lonely here. Mr. Rotting Ricky D is not anywhere to be seen. I'm sure he's going to get a little flack from our guest. And I should have I should have confirmed how to say his last name, but I'm gonna go out on a limb. Austin Janowsky. Maybe I'm right. Janowsky. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. And this is going to be a good show because is acting, screenwriting, producing. It's also a comic book artist. So this is going to be a interesting talk. We got a lot to talk about. Beforehand, let's take note and observe the links down there at the bottom, the indiehorrorjunkie.com, where you can get all the past issues of the Indie Horror Junkie magazine, as well as the new one coming up here in just about 12 days or so, the 13th of November. Very own Diane Durango, who is the second guest on the podcast, will be on the cover of this next issue. Special treat because, you got one on in September, and then, of course, Friday the 13th, you got another one. So you got triple indie horror to quench that thirst. I'd like to speak real quick on a campaign that's live right now on Indiegogo, Hellvirus Haunted Asylum of Horror. It's doing pretty well on its first day, and check that out because I'm a little partial to this project because I have my first little acting role in that, and so I'm really hoping that this gets off the ground. A very determined director and Morgan Wellborn. So we are in round 5 of raising funds for Hellvirus Haunted Asylum of Horror. So check that out over on Indiegogo, and hey, if you can, donate, contribute financially. The next best thing, and sometimes the best thing to do, even if you can donate, is share it far and wide. Get it in front of a lot of people, and hopefully that will take off. As I mentioned, all the links down at the bottom. Of course, our Buzzsprout, you can be a supporter for as low as $3 a month to help support our habit of indie horror. We are junkies here, and you could support us by supporting our habit, helping us out over there if you feel so inclined. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And of course, the YouTube page where this show will be immediately available as soon as we hit end stream. It's going to be a good one again. I hope I didn't slaughter the name, but as I mentioned, comic book artist, we have, actor, screenwriter, producer. I told him just a few minutes ago, I don't know where to start. His IMDb is it's overloading. 47 or so previous projects, 14, 15 coming up. But one that he wanted me to play the trailer for, A Killer and the Dead. And this is a pretty interesting concept. I watched the trailer just before the show, and this looks pretty interesting. So I think we're going to kick it off, and I'm going to play this trailer. And when we come back, Sir Austin Janowsky, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let's check out the trailer, A Killer and the Dead. Austin, welcome to the show. Boy, that looks like a wild ride, that boy. I tell you what.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, and thanks for having me on. This is
Hey, no problem. Thank you for taking the time out and chatting with us a little bit about some indie horror, some comic books. Talk a little bit about what we just saw. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm seeing this right, we have a what looks like a serial killer, type guy, and zombies. So you got, you're getting hit from both ways. This is interesting.
yeah. I'm a big horror guy. I loved the slasher. I mean, since Michael and everything. Hi, Jamie. And I'm a big zombie person. I have a zombie series, comic book series, and everything. I thought it'd be cool if we could have that pressure of a serial killer nonstop in a environment where there's the beginning of a zombie apocalypse. Just add more pressure of
Oh
everything
yeah.
going on.
Yeah, I mean, because the zombie apocalypse just isn't quite enough. You need what
Yeah,
look like an 8 foot tall, 300 pound, mass serial killer to add to the mix.
yeah. The actor's name is Johnny Shirley. He's such a nice guy, but that's exactly what I wanted. Most serial killers, they're tall, muscular, beefy, or lanky, whatever. Johnny's just this super, just imposing, huge, big dude that he could just, like in comic books, you have the kingpin, right?
Mhm.
That's my thought process. That's what I wanted my killer to be. And then the other actors we had, Michaela and Naomi, we wanted very short in stature but smart, strong female lead characters is also what we were looking for. And it was a lot of fun. It started as just like a film challenge. I just wanted to try the concept out. It went well. We did the trailer up there. It's got almost 11,000 views now,
Nice.
which is just 10,989 more than I anticipated to get. And we've won some awards with the short film, and it's great. And some people maybe have an interest in making it to a feature, but once strikes are done, we can start talking about that. But yeah, I'm very happy with the response. It's super cool.
That's awesome. Now, eh, I asked you before the show,
Mm.
because you have a lot. I mean, you're also the owner and founder of Tin Sky Media.
Yeah.
Um, let's start off with that before we get into how you got into and got bit by the acting bug and got into that aspect. Talk to us a little bit about Tin Sky Media and what is that?
Well, Tin Sky Media started because one, my comic books of working as a comic book artist. I've done it since 1994 is when I signed my first contract to work as an inker. So I had my own books I was putting out too, as well as working for like Marvel and Image and everything like that.
Mm,
And then as my backup plan, I was a designer for 20 plus years, doing freelance work, plus doing work for like Disney and Universal and Warner Brothers, and then art director for Verizon, and then creative director. So I wanted to have one, you know, business that fit all the creative boxes. And then,
right.
you know, the film thing kind of came about when I retired. I, I was going to teach. I had no idea you could possibly do any sort of film. I just assumed you had to go to Hollywood or you had to go up to New York to do it. And
Right.
so everything that I'm doing, like The Killer and the Dead, that falls under the Ten Sky Media imprint.
Interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, that it wasn't even on your radar then to do any acting. Was directing and creating, that was on your radar? That was something that, you kinda wanted to do?
Well, I lived in upstate New York. That's where I grew up. And, in high school, I did two things. I was, theater from like second grade. I voted most theatrical acting wise. And I loved comic books, like to draw. Well, I never thought I'd, work in, especially in the 80s and film. I'm a long hair, heavy metal looking dude. There's no possible way. But there's a lot of really big pros who worked in Syracuse near where I lived, in New York City. Marvel and DC were there. That was an avenue to go. And I got encouraged by my favorite artists. And I said, I'm going to be a comic book artist. And my parents said, yeah, I need a backup plan. So it never even occurred to me. So when I retired, your cohort Rick Danford was making a film, a horror film, and asked me if I wanted to be a ghoul. Hell yeah, I do. So I
Right.
got makeup and everything. And then another person asked if I want to be a bodyguard. No one asked about this. I'm like, this is amazing. Oh my God, how is this possible? And then they just kind of pulled back the curtain and showed like there's all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. I had questions. I don't understand. How can I do this? And then they're like, we just need to audition. You need to do this. I'm like, well, I have expectations about myself working in comic books, very high. So I wanted to do my research and give myself time to see if I can possibly do something like this. So what I did was I got and worked behind the scenes. I worked, every single aspect on how a film works, because that's how I did my stories as a comic book artist. They're all films in my head. And I thought that's the only way I could tell my stories. So the fact that I could make independent films, that was incredible to me. So I had to know how they worked. And then while learning what to do behind, it helped me improve as an actor and how to be a solution to their problems and make it easy to get booked. And then I started getting roles, and then I got more agents, and then I got bigger stuff, national commercials, some big films, now TV. I'm in an Apple Plus series called Bad Monkey. I'm in a Lifetime movie. I'm in a Netflix film. It's all pushed aside because of the strikes. So we got that going on. But yeah, I kind of fell into it. It's all Rick's fault, really.
Yeah, well, speaking of Rick, he just messaged me. He may pop on for a bit, he said.
Oh, he better.
Oh, he better. I love that that little story that you told about how you got into the acting. It's very inspiring. And speak of the
Oh,
devil.
there he is.
What did you call me?
I said, bro, it's your fault that I got into the film stuff to begin with making me a ghoul in your film.
Yeah, I guess he enjoyed that little bit there and looked great doing it, and he's taken off from there.
Yep.
That's awesome. I was
Hello,
just
boys.
saying, how you doing, Rick? How you doing tonight, sir? I was just saying right when you popped in that those kind of stories are very inspiring. How you're just given that chance. You don't even see, you can't even fathom the possibility that you're even going to get a role, that it's going to go anywhere. And like you said, look what's happened, Austin. It's just kind of snowballed from there. TV commercials, Lifetime movies, and I think that's very inspiring. For those listening that maybe want to get into, acting. You never had any acting, training or anything, or did you after a while? At first, did you?
No, I had no training or whatsoever. So when I decided to try to take this seriously and try to figure it out, I started taking classes. Lee Perkins, he's worked with Academy Award winning actors. He was just in Reptile opposite Benicio del Toro. He did fantastic. But I mean, he taught me to get out of my shell, to understand what's going on, learning scripts, scene study, and everything like that. And you have to do it every day, just like any sort of creative outlet. And
Sure.
But what I've done in film differently than what I've done in comic books. In comic books, I was so worried about making it, gotta make it, that I missed opportunities, or I've kind of pushed people away, I'm needy, whatever. Whereas with this, I'm enjoying the entire process, man. The highs, the lows. It's a marathon. It's your journey. It's a blessing every day just to be a part of the industry in some form or fashion. You know what I mean? It's incredible.
Right.
So
yeah, I would love to, just do anything. I even told Rick, I was like, dude, any of your projects, if I just have to run and get coffee for anybody, I just want to be on set, watch the magic happen. And because that's always been a big thing with me growing up as a kid. I love the behind the scenes and how movies are made. And that I was like, oh, That's great, and I'm still that way to the day. Rick, do you have anything you want to chime in? It looks like you're in your car. I don't know how much time you have.
Yeah, I'm visiting with my granddaughter. They fly back tomorrow, so I wanted to get some last minute time with her. But she's out there taking a bath right now, so I figured let me jump in here and get on board. Yeah, but no, I've known Austin for so many years, and like he said, I mean, he was a part of that one film that we were in, and it was a very family feeling because it was a kid friendly type, like Goosebumps type movie. So we had a bunch of kids running around set, and it was just so much fun. And I guess maybe it's been fun to watch Austin's journey from that to the film that he actually wrote and directed himself, to the other films that I've seen him in now. And that's one of the big things you always look for, is you, like when I read in Robert Rodriguez's book, is you like to see that progression. You like to be able to look at one project and see 3 or 4 projects later. And if you see that progression, then you're doing something. If there's no progression, then it's just a hobby. And I look at Austin from that first experience that I had with him to most recently, like when he did his the one with the Mortem with the where you were deaf.
Oh yeah, Mortem Happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And I look at him from there. It's 2 totally different people, from expressions, from the way he delivers lines, just the little things that you don't even think about. You could see the progression, and that's a man who's studied his craft, has been learning and progressing and doing it, and it's just wonderful to see.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
it.
that.
And he's also he also plays Elias Voorhees in your Halloween Death Walks Among Us chapter 2, which I watched last night and thoroughly enjoyed, I must say. So
that was a different thing for us.
Right. That was a different kind of role. Is that what you were going to say before I cut you off?
Oh no, I was going to say I heard him curse on screen, which I'm not used to hearing Austin curse, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not my roles. I'm usually grumpy, but I'm never, I don't do the super bad guy. So it was nice to be able to cut loose and say some swear words and everything like that. So, and Rick was great. He allowed me to improv a little bit and stretch and kind of push boundaries and everything. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and Rick, you were in it a little bit too. You were in Death Walks Among Us, which everybody can go see over there on YouTube. Everybody can check that out on YouTube. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2.
Yeah, and that's something for you, Otis. You talked about being behind the scenes and wanting to get involved. If you'd have been behind the scenes on that day that we shot my scene, you'd have understood, because I flubbed my lines so much, and we took so much time getting through that short little scene, because I didn't think about it when I wrote the script, thinking like, okay, I'm going to play this role here, and boy, I've got a hell of a lot of dialogue, and I'm directing and not even thinking about it, figuring I'll just take care of it, learn a little bit a couple days before and do it, and that doesn't work. You got to know your stuff. You got to go into it. So we did like a billion takes before we finally got it, and hats off to Ricky for pulling that off.
what do you got, Austin, what let me ask this. What was your favorite acting role? And I know you've got a lot of acting credits, but is there any one that really stands out that either, I didn't think I could do that and it turned out phenomenal, or that you really poured your heart and soul in? One that really stands out,
that's
for you.
A really good question.
That's a very
yeah. Well, it's not out yet, but my scenes on Bad Monkey, it was cool because I was with opposite Rob Delaney and Zach Braff, and I cannot remember her name to save me. But I'm supposed to be the super serious sort of preacher sort of guy, and Zach's like cracking jokes in between. So I'm trying to stop laughing. I mean, this is kind of a big thing. And he's making fart noises and just all sorts of stuff. And just because he was balancing things down, and it just made everything so incredibly smooth. And it was the first time I wasn't really thinking about my lines to the point where it was just happening. And I was comfortable in a big setting being indie films, not that it's not as big, but this is like, this is big deal, and not have to be a little bit self-conscious. To me, that was really, really good. And the next one was the first film I actually wrote, called Love, Hate, The Amazing Life of a Comic Book Artist. And it's not because Rick is here, but my favorite scene is when he comes in as Mr. Nosy Know-It-All comic book guy. And we just kind of go ahead and we just run the scene. And he did it flawlessly, exactly like how these people are at shows. Just the whole snobbery of the whole thing. That scene is my favorite scene in the whole movie. So yeah,
that was a great scene. You also gave me great direction there, because you basically told me about, let's make it like the Seinfeld episode with the whole Newman, whole thing. So I love that whole character and everything. So that was great. I loved it.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Then Brian Ballas, he was one of the clerks for the comic book guy. He jumped in. He wasn't really supposed to. He improv jumped in, so it's 2 against 1, and they're all just doing whatever. I'm like, get out of here. It was great.
It was good times.
Well, let's jump into some comic book talk. Was this a lot of us, we're right around the same age, Austin. I think I'm a couple years younger than you. You may not know by the beard, but we all of us as kids, I think at one time or another, picked up a comic book. Mine were, the Spider-Man, Batman, those were the things. Was it then as a child and maybe a love for the comic books that got you into that, or were you just, into art and it kind of progressed from there?
Oh, I always liked to draw. Fantasy stuff was the big thing. Piers Anthony, and then you had Dungeons and Dragons, and then did all that.
Oh, yeah.
Forgotten Realms. But literally, I was visiting my cousin in Florida. I was maybe 15 at the time, and it was pouring rain. We couldn't go anywhere. I'm bored out of my mind. And my cousin said, "There's some comic books for you to read." And I was X-Men 205. I read it, and it was great. And I read it to X-Men 211. I said, "Oh my God, this is great. Like, where did you get these? How can you get more?" It's like, "Oh, you can just go to the comic book store." I'm like, "There's a store? What are you talking about?" Mom and Dad, they were, because I was being a dick. I mean, 15-year-old prick. He's like, "Yeah, we'll take you to the store, make you happy." It's just like, oh, so amazing. Books everywhere. You get that smell, like the comic book smell. And I just bought it. And that's how that gave me the love for comic books. But working, when I got into college, there's this guy, Tom Chapman, disgustingly talented guy, just didn't have to try, just one of those guys. And he wanted to be the penciler. I was going to be the inker. He explained to me what an inker was. I finished the pages. Color wasn't a big thing back then. So I did some stuff, and then I went to a show, and I met Bart Sears, because he was working on Justice League Europe at the time, and he drew figures fantastically, and I wanted a Power Girl sketch. I wanted big boobs. So I'm waiting in line. I got my stuff in my hand. I get up to him. He draws a headshot, no boobs. So I gave him crap on that, and he demanded to see my artwork, and I flubbed it, and I kind of gave it to him, and it got passed on the table. Nice little things were written about me, and they're like, "You should come back next year. If you work on these things, you can work in comic books." That's when I said, "That's what I'm doing. I'll be a comic book artist." And that's why I said, Mom and Dad's like, "You need the backup plan." So that's how I did the backup plan.
Wow. Yeah, and I noticed I seen your post yesterday that, getting ready for Halloween, and you had comic books that you were handing out to some of the kids. Yeah. I thought that was a really cool idea.
It was funny. Yeah. So I had an anthology. I had comps from a publisher, and it was a horror book. And I had some Michael Myers prints I did from a previous Kickstarter. I'm like, I'm going to put these out here, and they can have a choice, whatever they want to do. I gave out all books and about 50 of the Michael Myers prints in about 30 minutes. Gone. It was so incredible. I was so happy. I'm like, because I'm just thinking, I'll give 1 or 2. Oh, they're just for the parents. No, the kids just wanted them. They loved it. They thought it was great. I said, sure. I'm like, no, I want to do this damn candy. So like towards the end, I'm like, please take all the candy. Just take all the candy.
That's probably the thing. I think a lot of the kids are just so used to that's all they're getting is candy. So to give them something different like that, a comic book, that's got to be pretty cool. I mean, in my house, I was giving them a choice too. They could either pick the beef flavored ramen noodles or the chicken. So it's like it was perfect. Man, they love that stuff.
See, that's so nice of you. You gave them a choice.
I know. Wow. Exactly. And when they read lunch tomorrow, they'll remember me.
Right.
Yeah, the next year you're like, how come no one's coming to my house? They're like going right around.
Right. That's
exactly.
The
ramen guy. That's the ramen guy. No.
No, we can't go to the ramen guy. Shh, take that. That's a ramen guy.
That's the ramen guy.
Yeah, but that guy's got an hour later. That's better. Yeah, let's get better.
Hey, have you ever thought about how many comic books, do you have roughly under your belt?
At one time, I had about 15,000 books.
My goodness.
15,000. But over the years, I've knocked it down, and I've got maybe 2 long boxes worth of books. And those are basically, there's 2 titles I still collect to this day. One, Strangers in Paradise by Terry Moore, and one is Hitman by Garth Ennis. And that's through DC Comics. Those are 2 of my absolute favorites. And I have all of those saved. And then I've got other ones that, a lot of them are my friends, like, they've worked on, or we'll trade, or I'll just pick up. And then I've got a small box of first-time people who put out their first books. I always make sure that I support them and buy their stuff and put it to the side. Because I remember me way back in the day trying to sell my first book and feeling so amazing when someone wanted to buy it. I'm amazed people want to buy my stuff now. I'm just like, really? Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you want to come by my table. Just people,
Have you ever thought about taking any of the comics, and I don't know if you would have the ability to, but have you ever wanted to take some of the comics that you did the art for, have them into, I don't know, a cartoon, a live action, turn them into some kind of a film or a project?
Yeah, we did that with Dawn and the Dead. It was a web series, and then we made a comic book out of it, and then we made a motion comic book out of that one. But it's interesting that you say that, because my zombie series, Zombies Were Human Too, we tell zombie stories before and how they became zombies. I'm starting to talk I have a buddy of mine, he works for Nickelodeon, he's a director, and he's got a contact with other people for studios. I want to try to make a pilot. I want to make an animated series. I think that would work really well. But like in Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots, is that what it's called? Love something Robots?
Yeah, I think that is what it's called. Love, Death, and Robots, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. With a different art style per thing, because each zombie story is different. I think if we have different art for that, and then have the main storyline be the same art, I think that would be fantastic. So that's what I would like to do. And then I have a comic book series, Stanley the Snowman. That's not horror related. It's Christmas related. Sony Animation looked at it a few years ago. Who knows if anything's going to happen. So yeah, when I make comic books, like I said, in my head, it's a movie. So I try to write stories that are very adaptable to different mediums, whether it's comic books to video games, comic books to film, and video games that can be very, very interchangeable. And the reason I've done that is because working for all these big companies, I've seen all the different platforms. You have to design something that goes for different things, whether it's mail, whether it's merchandising, whether it's you name it. You have to create for different aspects to make money. So that's kind of what I do.
Sure. We got a comment here. It says Facebook user, but it's only because he didn't do the StreamYard thing. It is Sean Smithson says when he was about 12, there's a guy in the neighborhood who would give away comics for Halloween. So yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's better than getting pennies from, I hated getting pennies.
I've got those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would hate getting ramen noodles too.
What?
But there's choices, Otis. He gave him choices.
I mean, there is
That's
choices.
right.
Yeah, beef or
What are you going
chicken.
to tell him the third choice? Either this or chicken or a rock. And I'm sure all the rocks are gone.
I got a rock.
That's right. I saved Oriental flavors for the special kids. You know.
Yes. Always make sure you have the special. That's funny.
That's right. You're a good kid. You get the Oriental one. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Nice.
Right, now you're going crazy. Now you're going nuts.
Nice. So what is next for Austin? What do you got? Are you working on something currently? Is there what do you got coming up? Either comic book wise or film or acting, anything that you want to talk about?
So the Zombies Were Human too. We just finished the Kickstarter 3 days ago for Volume 3, and it got fully funded and a little bit more. So that's amazing.
Awesome.
And we'll get that out in people's hands in January, and that'll be done. And then my fantasy faith-based series, Divine Retribution, was with a publisher, and another publisher just contacted me a couple days ago. They'd like to get. Maybe we'll publish it, so hopefully we can get that out next year, and then we'll see what other books we want to do. When it comes to film, it's interesting. The strikes really kind of slowed everything down.
Sure.
Right before the strikes happened, I was lucky. I had like 3 weeks where I auditioned for a Clint Eastwood film. I auditioned for a Denzel Washington film, a Samuel L. Jackson film, and a Robert De Niro TV series, all in a span of 2 weeks, which was incredible.
Wow.
So everything kind of shut down. I've had some callbacks. We'll see if we book anything. If not, it's nice to go. It's nice to progress and level up to that. But my own films, now that the short has kind of run its course through the festival, we're going to try to start talking about features. That's my next thing. I want to shoot features. I've got the horror one I want to do. I have a faith-based one called Waiting on Faith. I want to try to do the feature fun. And then I've got a drama called Mama Bear. And Mama Bear will be shot in New York and in Florida. The horror one is going to be shot in Georgia, Brunswick. And then the faith-based one, where I'm trying to figure that out. I want to utilize part of the new technology, the LED big screens. I think that'll save time with the accident and different things I'm trying to do. So we're pre-proing, we're talking, we're finding out money, we're putting budgets together, and then we'll see next year if anybody.
Well, you froze a little bit. Are you still there?
Yeah, looks like you froze a little bit.
He's going to make me forget my question. Austin,
oh, man. Austin. Yeah, looks like he's a little frozen, so hopefully
look, we have
on.
2 of them. There we go.
My computer sneezed. I don't know what happened.
Oh. Yeah, I did. I told Rick, I was like, you're going to make me forget my question. I had a question for you, and now
and you forgot it?
And now I forgot it.
That's all my fault. By the way,
I think I have a question.
All right.
Austin, okay? Which one do you enjoy more? Putting together a cool comic concept and fleshing that out, or putting together a cool film idea and directing / acting in it?
Film. And the only reason is because I've done comic books for so long. You know, films.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So it's new. I'm still learning a lot about it. Otis, it's very interesting, and I was talking to someone else about this. I'm at it's a dichotomy for me. Oh, I was at Spooky. I was doing panels about, and someone asked a question. So in comic books, I'm the old guy, right? You know, most people are 35. They don't want to hang out with an old 50-something-year-old guy. But
I feel your pain.
I'm new. You know, I'm like the new person. You know what I mean? So, after doing comics for so long, I love it. It's in my blood. I like doing it. I like collaborating with new people now. I want to bring a lot of people together. That's why we did zombies, because the zombie stories, me back up. Yes, it's about telling zombies before and how they became zombies. It's through the eyes of teenagers that get trapped originally, and they're trying to calm themselves down. So they pick out zombies, make a story who they were, how long it lasted, and how they died. And these stories are done by different creators, writers, and artists. So I wanted to get people together who have never been published before. Like directors like Rick, actors like Joe Davidson, novelists like Amanda Bird, newcomers who've never been published, old indie guys who wanted to tell horror stories that have never done it before. Big collaborative. That's kind of what I wanted to do. And that's why movies and doing all that now is interesting, because it's such a big collaborative thing. And all these really cool people that have the same passion to come together to make this really cool thing. Comic books are fun, but you're basically just doing one thing, or you're talking all over the world, but it's not very personable anymore. There's no bullpens. There's no real, meeting in person sessions. There's nothing really like that. It's all digital. That's the way technology is. But film stuff is really cool, because you can write something in your head. You have something right here, and hopefully it comes out exactly, and other people can see all the craziness in your head.
I remember my question now.
Oh, good.
I know there's a lot of hurdles when it comes to filmmaking, being that you mentioned that is, what you find, a lot of pleasure in is seeing, your idea come to life on film. There's a lot of hurdles, and one hurdle that a lot of indie filmmakers that I've talked to, either on or off this show, funding is always a big issue. How do you overcome that hurdle? What has been your method to your madness when it comes to funding your projects? Some people are fortunate enough to come out of pocket. Others have to use your Indiegogos, your Kickstarters.
Yeah.
What have you done in your experience to get these projects funded?
Well, most of the stuff I do is short films, so there isn't that much of a cost to it. A lot of people have been very nice and donate their time, because it's a short film sort of thing.
Sure.
Going forward, I'm making networking and building relationships with people that can possibly put money together, and not trying to find one exact person or one thing to bring all the funding in, trying to get from multiple different things. But there's pitfalls to that too. You have to give something back. Who gets paid first? How much do they get paid over? There's a lot of nuances to the budgeting. So when thinking of your budget, you have to have a realistic budget, and you can have your dream budget, and hopefully you can fall somewhere in between. That's kind of where I'm finding. So I haven't gotten to the point where I'm really pushing the Kickstarter thing for film work and all that too. Right now, I am just trying to figure out what do I want to do, where do I want to do it, and how much it's going to cost. And then how can I do it, not cheaply, but as efficiently, money-wise and time-wise. And what do I need to pay for? Absolutely. Or what can I do? You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But I have no problem crowdsourcing when it comes to doing horror, especially horror films, because it's such a niche thing. A lot of people are very comfortable doing something like that. What's interesting is there's a lot of people interested in investing in faith-based films. A lot of people are doing them. They're seeing a good return on investment, from what I'm understanding. And a lot of streaming services are interested in that content right now too. Dramas are a tough thing to do, but for me, the Mama Bear, it's the drama one. It's a personal thing for me, because it deals with the last 24 hours before my mom passed away. So it's not exactly that story, but it's telling the journey, and different actors and different things can be plugged in. But there's that too. And then you also have to think about how much you want to put in and where you want it to go for distribution. Are you okay just having it on YouTube? Are you okay just having it on Tubi? Are you okay having it on the bigger streaming platforms? Do you want a limited release to go with it? or are you okay with just a limited release and then do it for free? There's a lot of different things and aspects to go about doing it. And that's my long answer is I haven't had a chance to really go super expensive on my projects. I've had it inexpensive where people have either donated their time, I've fed them really well, I've thrown them some money if I can, and kind of go from there, because it's like-mindedness, because if they have a project, I jump on and help any way I can. It's a lot of trade.
That is that seems to be, a common thread I find in the indie community. Everyone is willing to, give you a hand, give you a shot, help you out with, advice or whatnot. It's a very, very, and I know we've said this till we're blue in the face, but it's a very tight knit community.
Really is.
I mean, you get to these conventions, and that was, I'm kind of, trying to segue into my next question when it comes to conventions. You see it at these horror conventions. I haven't been to, comic conventions or any other conventions that are out there. It's just,
Yeah.
I've only been to a couple horror cons. And is it the same? Is that community the same? Like if you go to like a Comic Con, do they seem to have the same community type feeling as it would like at a horror con?
No, horror's a little bit. Well, I take that back. Fandom is really universal, but horror is a different thing. Like we did Spooky this last weekend, and it's interesting. You're doing a thing for Elvira. She had a line constantly the entire weekend, constantly, and she's been around for how many years?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Forever.
You know what I mean? And people are still, I mean, Robert Englund, what's the last time he's done something? He had lines wrapped around all weekend because they just want to meet him. I met a couple of that I'm fans with, you know what I mean? And I waited in line. I was actually able to talk with them. Comic books are a little different. The comic book shows have changed over the years. Back in my day, but back in the early 90s, it was the artist was a new concept at shows. It used to be just you go buy books, that was all it's for. Then the comic book came involved. And then they started introducing celebrities, just a few. Cosplay was nowhere around until maybe 10, 15 years ago. And then the dichotomy and all that changed. People go specifically to conventions because they want to wear costumes and get photographed or make their TikToks or do this different thing, or they're only there to go meet their celebrities and spend $200 a pop. And then there's people that just go and get comic book stuff. So it's tight knit, but it's separated by different aspects of it. Whereas horror, It does not matter. Bam, they are there, and they're there for everything. That's why they have the film festival. They have the tattoo festival. They've got the vendor room. They've got the celebrities, and people spend all weekend visiting every aspect of it. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's exactly how I've done it. We kind of plan it out to where, the last one I went to, my wife got to meet Kane Hodder. And we planned it out. It's like, man, it's going to be 2-pack Friday and Saturday. Everybody's trying to get in there, and we were right. I mean, lines everywhere.
Yeah.
We'll wait till Sunday and we'll go. And yes, we waited, in line a little bit. But I was in a separate line. His name escapes me. Played Michael Myers, Halloween 2.
Oh, the actor. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He actually played Michael Myers.
Dick. Yeah, Dick's Warlock. Dick Warlock.
Right.
Dick Warlock. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in line to meet him, and my wife was next to me in line to meet Jason. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, we were, in and out in really no time. We spent the other 2 days going to all the booths, buying merch, going to film festivals. There was always something to do. And I love it. And I can't wait for Florida Horror Con to kick off next September. I'm really excited about that because I'm in dire need of a vacation.
Yay.
So,
We can't wait to bring you in. Hey, real quick before you guys go on to the next question, my granddaughter's calling, so I have to go. But I had to pop in here and say hello to my boy out there, all right? You
Yes,
guys
sir.
enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks,
awesome.
man.
Thank you, Rick. All right. Yeah. So yeah, the horror cons are a great atmosphere. I absolutely love it. To get up close and personal with some of your idols, some of the people growing up with, or growing up watching. Good stuff. Good stuff. So comic and see when I asked you about turning these, into, live actions or cartoons,
Yep.
what triggered that question in my head was actually the cover of Zombies or People too. I seen that cover and I'm like, man, that just I don't know why it just popped into my head. That should be like a cartoon or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's awesome, man. Um Going forward, you said you got some books, hopefully, getting published, film wise. You want to stay more into the film, then, is what I'm gathering. Huh? You
Yeah.
want to devote more of your attention there.
Yeah. I'm ready. Yeah. 30 years is a good time. I'm still going to do books. I'll do Kickstarter to get them funded. If I want to do a local small show, I'm good. I mean, if they invite me to a big show, that's great. Or if I get a publisher, that's fine. But I'm very thankful and I am fulfilled in everything that I've done in comic books. I don't think there's a whole lot else that I really want or have a need to do. Whereas film, I feel like I just leveled up.
Yeah,
And
you just started. Yeah, it
yeah,
seems like
but
for sure.
I joke to my wife. I go, so I got into comic books in '94 when the collecting market of comic books kind of took a crapper. So that was smart. Then I got into acting and I started getting some footing. And then the pandemic happened. And then now we got strikes. So she says, you pick a really good time to start these things.
Exactly.
That's what I do.
That's awesome, and again, it was it's such an an inspiring story that hey, you just try it out one time, and next thing you know, one gig leads to this gig, and that gig leads to that gig, and not having any formal acting training, basically all your training was in like digital creation and things like that, right? And
Yeah.
comics and
Acting, all that kind of came naturally. I mean, starting from like third grade, it just I just did it. You know what I mean? But I never thought I'd do film and everything because, like I said, where I grew up, and improv was always something I thoroughly enjoyed. I was pretty quick on stuff, so the skill set was kind of basically there. But getting the training to learning lines and putting the emotions into it properly and figuring out
Mhm.
your space and everything like that is something you continually do every day. It's just like drawing. You have to draw every day and all that, write every day. It's all, you just have to keep working and keep working. You cannot be stagnant, you can't be complacent, because as a creative person you always have to express that creativity, and then you have to learn how to try to do it better if you want to try to make money at it. And I did want to do what ifs. I did that for so long. Like, I always felt like I should be doing film, but what if, yeah, I'm just not going to do it. So when it came that there's a possibility, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to not do it. I have to give it a shot. You know what I mean? If nothing
Yeah,
else, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. You know what I mean? But,
exactly.
knock on wood, it's going well. And trust me, it's been a lot of dry spells. There's been a few times that I'm like, what do you think? Maybe I can book this one. How about this one? I'll take this one. No? Okay. We'll just, whatever. Like I really wanted that Clint Eastwood film. I really wanted that one. But it didn't happen. So it's all right. But the cool thing is, from what I heard, he actually looked at my audition. So that was cool to me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's
right.
cool. And then it's just, when as an actor, you first big obstacle is making the casting directors like what you're doing and keep inviting you to more because they're confident that you can deliver on time and a good quality audition. So I did that. Even the new ones with the bigger ones for Atlanta and New York and LA. So I'm doing the work. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. The casting directors love what I got to do. The role's just got to be mine. My mentor says, if the role's yours, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. It's yours. And then if it's not, it doesn't matter what you're going to do or what you try to do. It's not yours. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to do the audition. Your job is to do the callback. And then if you book it, your job is to do the best of your ability for that character, for that role, and make it as easy as possible for production. So hopefully they'll invite you back.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And you know, I'm no actor, but you know, like you said, you know, and I had mentioned this, you know, Hellviber's Haunted Asylum of Horror. I did a little voiceover for his short, Morgan Wellborn short. Did a little announcer voice for that. And I just came to him. I was like, hey, you know, if you need any voiceover work, let me know. I had no formal training, no coaching.
Yeah.
I was just told, hey, you should try this. Oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'm not getting any younger. You know, I'm 50 plus. I'm not getting any younger. Why not give it a shot? And it worked out for him, and he loved it. And he asked me, hey, you know, I got a role that I think you'd be perfect at. What are you talking about? Acting? What, in front of a camera? Oh, well, I never really pictured myself, you know, that way, but it kind of worked out that way. And like you said, I'm not going to pass this up. I'm going to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, then okay. Hey, at least I tried. I mean, I got so much satisfaction because I got the hard copy of the short Hellviber on the Run, and I'm like, look, there's my name on the back. Listen, that's me, you know, and it's so surreal, something so little that people are like, well, that's nothing. No, it's something. It's a very big accomplishment for me. And I think you probably felt the same way, you know, when you got that, when you saw your name in the credits and you know, or you seen yourself on that in that movie.
Well, it's funny. A lot of people get into the film and all that sort of stuff because they want the notoriety, they want that quote unquote fame. And I've been famous working on big stuff, fans. I've got fans I'm still thankful for. But then I'll work on things that a lot of people don't know about, and they kind of go away. So do you want to enjoy what you're doing? You want to call yourself an artist or an actor, or you want to be famous? That's the whole point. Why are you in this? Why are you doing this? I'm a character actor. I love it. I know I'm not a leading person. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm all right having my types if I can get continuous work and get some money for it. I'm good with that. If I can get a role that's very integral to the storyline, even better. So, and then making films, I want to make stories that are very interesting, not only to me, but it's something a little different in each genre, something that's a little bit not convoluted. So I enjoy directing. I enjoy telling my stories, but I love acting. So
because I was gonna ask you that, you know, going forward in film, do you want to be in front or behind the camera more so? And I guess you could do a little bit of both, but it seems like your passion is more on the acting side now than behind the camera. Am I hearing that right?
yeah, and right now I'm getting more success in front of the camera. That's where I'm more successful. And
There you go.
hopefully, if things go along and things progress, like I'm hoping they will, this will give me more of an opportunity to tell my stories and be behind the camera also, which is good. Like I said, I am taking whatever I am given and I am going which way I'm supposed to be going to be successful and just do it, man.
Yeah, not forcing it, just kind of letting it come to you, and you know, taking the cards you're dealt with and doing the best you can.
Yeah.
Man, I was going to ask you for some, you know, parting words, but I think you kind of pretty much said all of that. Some, you know, points of inspiration. I think we pretty much, you know, covered that, man. If you're given an opportunity to express your art form, whether it's acting, whether it's directing, filmmaking, whether it's comic books. We're going to have a puppeteer, Molly Zombie, coming on here in a couple weeks. So whatever your art form is, you do it with 100%. Don't go stagnant, like you mentioned, Austin. It's not like riding a bike where you're always going to remember. You can't just, we could all just jump on a bike, no matter how long we haven't rode one, and take off. That may not be so easy when you're dealing with creativity. Sometimes it's hard to get back into that mindset. You got to stay vigilant with it, and good things will happen. That's what I'm hearing from this.
Yeah, it's a marathon. Your journey is your journey. It's someone else's journey. They might be more successful or doing more things. That's their journey.
Sure.
It's your journey. It's a marathon. Enjoy the journey. And just, there's going to be highs, and going to be lows. You know what I mean? The lows is going to prepare you to enjoy the highs that much more.
Absolutely. That's very well said. Thank you again, Austin, for jumping on with us and taking some time out and chatting with us. It was really awesome. We've been getting, with our guests, we usually get an inspiration type story, an inspiring type story to help young filmmakers, young actors, young, artists in general. I think you got some good things going. I really enjoyed the trailer. As I put in the chat, your IMDb, so people can check out all the projects you're working on. Also, your Facebook page is scrolling along the bottom of the screen.
Oh yeah.
So people can go and check you out over there, follow you over there, find out what you're up to. And man, again, thank you so much. I'll put you, backstage, and you can take off and do what you got to do, or we could say bye off the show when the show ends. But thank you so much, Austin, for hopping on, man. It was a great talk, and much success to you in the future, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being on. Thanks for everyone who is watching or will watch.
Yes.
And remember, watch out for zombies. They're everywhere, man.
They are everywhere. All right. Thank you, Austin. Great show. Again, man. We're just knocking them out of the park, man. We got a lot of great guests in the past shows, which you can check out over there at indiehorrorjunkie.com. There is a link on our podcast tab up there on our podcast page on the website, and you can click any one of the pictures of the guests there, and that'll take you to a link. Next week we have Mr. Michael Joy, owner and president of Marketing Macabre. So see, we're not sticking to just actors and filmmakers. We had a comic book artist with Austin. We're hitting the we're hitting the marketing aspect of it with Marketing Macabre. We got a puppeteer after him, Molly Zombie. Well, not after him. It's going to be a couple weeks, actually. November 22nd. Jose Castro, know him better as Molly Zombie, and the puppets at VHFX. He's going to be on in a couple weeks. So we have all kinds of different people who are, out there perfecting their art. And it's going to be a fun ride. So, hey, thanks again. And again, check out the Hellvirus Haunted Asylum of Horror on Indiegogo. And let's help get that project. There's so many great projects out there, but again, I'm a little partial to the Elvira projects. So I want to thank everyone for listening here live, joining in, and also if you're watching the rebroadcast, thank you there as well. With that being said, we'll see you next Wednesday.